uses job costing? Simple way to put it is if your business builds or delivers something different every time, then you're a perfect candidate for job costing. Also, another short answer is contractors use job costing. In just about every contractor space, you need to have a regular habit and fundamental foundation of being able to job cost. By the end of this video, you're going to know who job costing is for and also why it's the natural accounting language for every contractor to be able to use, whether they're brand new into the contracting space or you've been doing this for 30 years. We've done a lot of work in Nigeria. It's an interesting time of our life. For about 15 years, going back and forth multiple times, I've probably spent almost a year of my life over there, spending the night and interacting and doing all kind of stuff, just in small, short little trips back and forth. But through it, one of the big things that Nigerians are known for is the fabrics that they import, and then they actually weave into their own dress. So if you're walking through a major global airport, you're likely going to see a Nigerian national wearing this Nigerian West African looking outfit. Well, that outfit was likely hand sewn. There's not a lot of those that are sold in the store. So they take a lot of pride in actually having local seamstress come in, take the fabric, and then manipulate that into the dress that they're wearing. It's a lot of fun. So they'll even do it for weddings, funerals. They'll make outfits for everybody. And so it's just a lot of fun. It's such a beautiful pattern work that Nigerians wear. One thing that was interesting for me was to actually visit the places these seamstress were doing their work and to see the work that they would actually do. And so they would have fabric all over the place, and then they would be building custom dress outfit for whoever their customer and their client was at that time. Well, I want you to think of a contracting business kind of like a custom tailor. They're not really building a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again. They're building custom shapes, sizes for this particular person in this particular occasion. Well, a lot of construction people are doing that the same way. Yeah, I get there's production and there's all of that, but even still, every unit has its own uniqueness and its own scope and cycle time. And so basically the way to look at it is anytime you've got a scope or a cycle time that's taking longer than an hour, a day, or whatever. Think about automobile manufacturers. They might create a car, but that car is on a factory line. Well, they're more likely to do what we call process costing. So you've got people working on a manufacturing line here, and you got these boxes going off. So if you're on a manufacturing line, you're going to do general process costing. You're going to bulk material together and get a general cost of the material and general cost of the labor that goes along with it. But if you're building anything smaller than that, or especially down to one-off custom, then you're a likely candidate for job costing, just a simple, basic element. And the good news is job costing can be really straightforward and pretty simple. So the easiest way to do job costing, I'm going to go straight down the middle, is if you're one of these building something custom, then what we want to do is we want to create a contract value for whatever that thing is that you're about to build or create or generate or sew, whatever it is you're doing, but most of you are going to be contractors. And so in this box, this is what we would call the contract value of that particular project, whatever that might be. Now, in order to understand if that project is profitable, now you might be saying, well, Scott, why do I need to care if that project's profitable? There are a host of reasons that you should care about the profitability of one particular job. First of which, when we understand this job profitability, it helps us to understand if we want to take more of these jobs or not. Can you imagine a production builder that after the first job was not profitable and the second job was not profitable, they had 500 units that were slated to go up and they were all contracted to do that same amount? I wouldn't want to be in that situation, and you don't want to be there either. So job costing helps us to understand decisions moving forward. Do we continue to make those decisions based on the profitability of the last decision? So that's one of the reasons job costing is so important. Another is it informs your decision making on things like overhead, cycle times, any future decisions that you make when you're building the next estimate. You can learn a lot of data based on the previous job cost that you did in the past based on the contract value that you have there. So the elements of a simple job cost. First, contract value. Second is cost of goods, and those rise as the project goes on. So you got water rising up here that we call cost of goods, and I'm going to explain what makes those up here in a second. And what that's going to leave for us is our gross profit. Now, our gross profit is not money we just get to take out of the business. That's what a lot of contractors think is, oh man, we margin 28% or 32% or 15% or whatever the number is, as if that's our money. It is not. We still have to do things like overhead and expenses. And so our overhead are things like rent, payroll, whatever those fixed expenses are. That could even be variable expenses in those, and those have to come out of our gross profit. And by the time those come out, then we can understand what our net income is. And that's ultimately what we're going for. That's what people call profit. So one of the reasons I don't like this term, gross profit, because when you see the word profit, You think it's legitimate profit, like it's yours. Psychologically, I don't really like that. That's why I like to talk about this down here at the bottom. And so simple terms, contract value, cost of goods, gross profit, and then your overhead comes out of that, which leads to your net income. So the question is, what makes up that cost of goods right here? Well, this is an acronym that we've built called SLME. So there's an S and an L with a line in the middle and an M and an E on the back side. Subcontractors, labor, materials, and equipment. So these are all your people cost of goods, and these are all of your non-people cost of goods over here, all right? And so when we're looking to measure our cost of goods to do good job costing, then we want to understand what is our subcontractor cost, what's our labor cost. So these are the people. You might be thinking, well, what's the difference between the two? Subcontractors are things like your subcontractor crews that you hire, and a laborer might actually be somebody who's on staff with you as a W-2 full-time, but you actually want to cost code their particular time to this job in their cost of goods and not in their overhead. And so just be mindful, talk to your accountant about what you'd want to do about that. And then we have materials, which are easy, and equipment. Some of that equipment is equipment you might own. You still need to cost code it per hour or per day or whatever the mobilization looks like. And you need to cost code any equipment that you rent, which is usually easier to do because they give you a fixed fee for whatever that rental might be. And then you need to account for that over the time duration that you're going to have it. So you'll see equipment sitting on job sites. Every time I see that equipment, I cringe because usually that equipment is racking up a bill in the cost of goods while it's just sitting there and not being used. You need to be aware of that, and that's part of your cost of goods that's in here. So as a contractor building something custom or semi-custom, or it's something new every single time, you want to make sure you do proper job costing, not process costing with bulk materials over and over again, but job costing. And the other thing you need to be mindful of is where job costing sits. There are 4 P's in every business: purpose, people, process, and profit. Job costing sits in this profit segment of the business. Now, I've got good news for you. If you'll click on the link in the description below, it'll actually take you to a video that I have built called How to Build a System for Your Construction Business. If you're a contractor business owner, a construction business owner, then you need to go sit down with that video, take notes, and walk through, because I'm going to walk you through the 4 P's that every business owner must need for their contracting company, and also what we call the 4 core of marketing, sales, ops, and admin, and then the processes that go within. And so this job costing process going to fit within the profit vertical of that, but you'll be able to understand it within the full scope. So you'll know what questions to ask once you actually have your job costing system built. So if you're a big manufacturing firm, process costing. But for most of you as contractors, we want you job costing with these simple elements and fitting it within the macro structure of your business. Make sure you go watch that, because when you watch how these 4 P's play out and the 4 core of how to build a construction business, then you can be liberated from chaos so that your business runs and grows with or without you.